Hello, everybody. My name is David Leith, and I'd like to thank you all for attending my session today on what's new in Uptime 7.1. Thank you so much for showing up today. Hopefully in the next 30 minutes I'll be able to give you a nice overview of the key features coming in Uptime 7.1, and hopefully have you all check out the online demo as well as download the evaluation and see if you're interested in upgrading. Before I do jump into the session, just a few housekeeping notes. First, there will be an open Q&A session towards the end of the half hour, so please, if you do have any questions, use the chat window on your right-hand side, and I'll do my best to get to every single question that I can in the time we have allocated. If we can't answer your question, I will follow up individually with an email to handle that offline. Also, there will be a recording of this event posted online in the next few days, and that will be linked to in your follow-up email. So let's jump right into it. So in today's session, we've got a combination of both current Uptime clients, who I know are very excited to hear what's new in Uptime 7.1, as well as a collection of users who maybe have tried Uptime in the past or currently evaluating Uptime. So let me take a second just to bring everyone up to speed, or just a quick refresher on who is Uptime and what do we do. Right. Uptime software provides powerful and easy infrastructure monitoring capacity management tools, covering your servers, be them physical, virtual, or cloud servers, your network devices, applications, and your SLAs. We provide a single tool that will monitor across all of those traditional silos and roll everything up into a single set of dashboards, a single version of the truth that you can use across all your teams to monitor the status of your environment and help improve your service delivery over time. Now, for those people who are relatively new to Uptime, this session will be focused specifically on Uptime 7.1. If you would like a broader overview of Uptime, please feel free to download the evaluation. There's a 30-day evaluation at uptimesoftware.com, or contact your account representative who will be able to schedule a one-on-one session with you to get you up to speed on the tool and talk a little bit about your monitoring requirements. So with that, let's jump right into what's coming in Uptime 7.1. Uptime 7.1 is all about making it easier and faster for you to scale up monitoring in your environment. It also works to help you integrate and customize Uptime dashboards to display information from Uptime in whatever format and whatever location that you're most comfortable with. So we have three key feature adds or new capabilities in Uptime 7.1. The first is that we made a substantial improvement in Uptime performance. The second is the availability of a dashboarding API, and I'll be talking about a few examples as well as some of the underpinnings of how this API functions. And the third is that we took some time to enhance our existing auto-discovery to make it easier for you to ramp up monitoring in your environment and get systems and servers into Uptime for monitoring as quickly as possible. We've also made some minor additions that I won't talk about today. Please reference the release notes that will be in your inbox next week. A number of kind of back-end changes, particularly around platform support. So we've added SQL 2012 as a data store, as well as MySQL 5.5, and support for WebSphere 8, right, in addition to these major features that I'm going to run through right now. So the first new addition, right? Every version of Uptime, we work to ensure that Uptime as a monitoring solution performs as well or better than any other solution on the market. So with Uptime 7.1, we've continued on that trend of delivering better and better performance with each and every release. This release in particular is a very major step forward for us, and the reason for that is that we've moved from a 32-bit monitoring architecture to a pure 64-bit architecture. That will allow us to make better use of the resources that are available on your system, particularly if you have high memory available on your system, and allows our maximum scalability target to be much, much larger than you would find with Uptime 7.0 or previous versions. All right, we want to ensure that Uptime can keep pace with the growing number of servers in your environment, and through this improvement in performance in Uptime 7.1, you can rest assured that Uptime will keep pace step for step with every server, every block of service monitors that you want to roll out in your environment, and deliver stellar performance. And in our early tests at beta sites in our own labs, we are seeing a full 2x performance improvement in Uptime 7.1. So I encourage everyone to upgrade and try out the new architecture. Now, the second piece I want to talk about is the really exciting part about Uptime 7.1. We've made a commitment in Uptime to API enable every aspect of the tool. And the first step of that is building what we're calling the dashboarding API. Right, we want to focus on letting you easily share customized inventory and status information via an open RESTful API. This allows you to integrate uptime information with other tools such as portals in your environment, any existing web portals. Maybe you have a CMDB or help desk system where you want to interchange uptime availability and status information from the elements you're monitoring in uptime, the system groups, the applications, and the individual service monitors. All of that inventory and availability information can be easily accessed via the RESTful API and displayed anywhere you want it. Right, there are no particular language bindings. Right, so being an open RESTful API, you can use any language you're comfortable with, be it Java, JavaScript, .NET, PHP, Batch scripts, PowerShell scripts, any language that natively supports basically a URL lookup can be used to interface with the Uptime API. Now, instead of talking about some of the kind of the low-level nuts and bolts of the Uptime API, the best thing I can do is show you some of the examples that are coming with Uptime 7.1 as open examples out of the box. And these will help hopefully show you the power of the API and certain different things that the API opens up for you to do in your environment. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the concept of a world map or a global dashboard, also mobile operations, as well as an incident console, a highly dynamic interface for managing the ongoing outages and status in your environment. So the first piece I want to touch on is the mobile operations view. And essentially what this allows you to do is, as an administrator, an operations team manager, or director of IT, we know that you're constantly on the go. And what the mobile operations view allows you to do is view the status of all of your key servers, application, and monitors on the go from your mobile device, right, and remotely acknowledge problems that are going on in your environment. So there'll be no more need for you to actually log into the Uptime web interface to be able to acknowledge problems going on in your environment and let the other members of your team know that, hey, you've got it covered. So this screen shows three different views that are available through this mobile operations application. On the left-hand side, we've got an example of something very similar to the global scan or our global dashboards, indicating broken down by system group, element by element, what's the actual service monitor status on each of those individual elements. In the central view, we have more of a kind of a to-do list, right? So this would be great for an administrator if you're working in the data center or out and about working on incidents. This view will give you a list of the particular outages that are on your to-do list, allow you to see any changes in their status, drill down into the systems that are actually impacted, as well as acknowledge those outages from your mobile so that the other members of your team know that you have this problem covered. And the right-hand view, this is more of a manager's view, just a nice, simple, high-level chart showing across the entire data center that Uptime is monitoring, or multiple data centers. What's the current status of all the key services? Right, are there any problems? Is there anything I need to worry about? And it allows you to drill down from that view. So this is a big step forward for us, and we're very excited to see how this mobile application and how these mobile views can be adapted. Right. So again, these are just API examples. Right. All the code that actually makes these examples function will be posted as open source code, available both on our grid site for plugin sharing and now API code sharing, but also a GitHub site where the code, again, will be open for you to branch off of and customize on your own to match it particularly to your environment. Now I want to jump into an actual live demo of Uptime. So of course I don't have any mobile phones on me, so I couldn't really show the live mobile view. But let me just share my desktop for a moment here. Okay, I'll give that a few seconds to come up for everybody. And what you should be seeing now is a fairly familiar view, which is the My Portal view of Uptime. What we're looking at here is a live version of Uptime 7.1 with a simple test environment set up to demonstrate some of these API-enabled dashboards. So the first dashboard that I'm going to highlight is what we're calling it's a world map example. And what this allows you to see is at a very, very high level, location by location, what's the status in the different data centers of either key applications, elements, groups, whatever you like. And I've actually tied this in as an example to the existing uptime global scan dashboards. So under global scan, we have our standard high-level global scan view as well as our applications and network views. The network tab is new to uptime 7. But you'll notice that on the upper right, I've actually linked in a custom tab here, and this is just called the North America Status Map. So if I click on this, what you're given is a simple image with indicators on it of status broken down by location on the page. Now, this example is just the North American world map, and what we can see using this example is that it's highly dynamic. So we can actually see based on the dots what the status of applications are in Toronto, where our office is, the New York area, Florida, and then a few different data centers in the Denver region. And if I hover over any of these indicators, I can actually get more detail about specifically what outages are going on in that component of the environment. So here in this example, I've just linked a simple server, but again, this can be whatever you like it, applications, SLAs, so on and so forth. And I can see broken down what's the monitor status on this target server. And then if I wanted to, I could actually drill down by clicking on any one of those monitors. It will drill me down directly to the status view for this target server. So in literally one click, I've gone from a North American map to highlight the status of the environment and drilled right down to a target server that's having a problem in the environment. And from here, I can navigate around any of the common uptime views, so the quick snapshot pages, do any of that deep diagnostics that I need to get to the root of whatever this problem may be. Now I can also customize this, right? So this simple view that we're looking at is just an example, right? It's definitely a North American world map, but this image can be anything you like, and the pins indicating status can go anywhere on this page that you're comfortable with. So I'm actually just going to pull up a simple editor dialog for this and show you here is an example. This is just another stock image of a data center, or particularly a rack in a data center, that you could use as a background image to overlay the status of your servers on. And this could be anything. It could be a simple Visio image of different business services in your in your environment. It could be a combination of data from both Uptime as well as any of your other internal applications. So maybe you'd like to link together help desk information or CMDB, maybe sales type information or CRM tool info. You can link all that type of information together into one high-level view, including your uptime inventory and status, and create some very, very powerful dashboards. Again, that directly fit whatever your needs as a business are for uptime monitoring. Now, going back to the example that I was working with, adding more dots to this example is simple as selecting which element you want on the left, what type of indicator you'd like, so via circle or square, and then you can drag and drop these things wherever you want on this background image. And then if you save that, those changes would be instantly live and available back in your global scan. Right, so this is a great functional example that will be included at Uptime 7.1 release time as an example of how you can integrate with the Uptime API to pull back that inventory and status information into whatever type of format that you're most comfortable with. Now, the second example I'm going to show is actually linked into Uptime again, but under a different view. So previously I'd linked in a dashboard to the global scan. In my second example, I've actually linked in a dashboard to the My Portal, which is an area designed more specifically for users to look at just their own issues and incidents and reports. So the default My Portal will show the active alerts that I as a user am receiving without anything else from other users. And what I've tagged in here is a simple incident dashboard. And we'll give this a few seconds to load. But this is a highly dynamic dashboard that will show you the status of everything that you have the visibility to see, and allow you to do all kinds of sorting of the different columns. So if you wanted to quickly sort all the critical issues to the top, you could do that. If you want to look for a particular host, you could easily search, and the list of available service monitors will filter down automatically. All right, this is combining a lot of the standard info that you would get out of any uptime service monitor, but using a highly dynamic front-end interface. In this case, it's based on jQuery, but this can be any dynamic interface, any programming language that, again, you are comfortable with. On the top of this view, we get a slightly different breakdown of all the same info. So here we can see group by group, what's the current service status in each group. And if I hover over any particular area, I can see the list of servers that are actually experiencing failures. So in our Linux environment, we have a number of QA servers that are having outages. If I click on any one of these servers, again, I will drill down immediately to that target server in uptime so that I can do triage on the issue and attempt to recover from the problem. All right, so that's a quick summary of 3 different example pieces that the API provides to you with the Uptime 7.1 release. All of those examples are fully functional and open source so that you can customize them to your exact needs. I'm going to move on to the next piece. So the third major enhancement in Uptime 7.1, aside from the sexy high-level dashboards, is some enhancements to our auto-discovery. So Uptime's always had a few different varieties of auto-discovery. So auto-discovery of your VMware environment so that we will instantly pull back all of the VMs and ESX servers that are attached to a vCenter. Scanning of your Power VM or P-Series environment so you instantly find all of the LPARs that are residing on a particular frame, as well as our network discovery. So simply doing a scan of a target subnet to find any elements that you're not currently monitoring with Uptime and allow you to quickly add those into Uptime. This is the area where we decided to put in some work because we found that it wasn't performing as quickly as it should be. So the enhanced auto discovery, first and foremost, is just faster. Right? So we're finding in our own internal tests that the discovery process in a standard subnet is at least 50% faster than it was in previous versions. So if you're doing a lot of scanning of different subnets to identify servers and network devices that you want to add to Uptime, this will be a tremendous time saving to have that basic scanning and identification process run much more quickly. After you're done that scanning, you can now also bulk add any of the returned elements. So if there are 100 elements discovered, you can simply single-click select all of them, and then Uptime will go through the process of trying to add each and every one individually while you take a break and can go on to work on other tasks. Right? No more manual addition of every single element. And all of these changes have been wrapped into a new wizard-based workflow that make it much easier to identify the different types of discovery that you can do and the status of your discoveries across different sections of your environment. So this enhanced auto-discovery will save you a great deal of time, and really for new users or in new environments that you're migrating Uptime to enable monitoring, it'll be a much, much quicker process to get up and running and monitoring those new servers. So this has been just a very quick introduction to 3 big pieces that we're launching with Uptime 7.1. So again, we're focusing on making it easier and faster for you to scale up your monitoring. We want to make it easy for you to integrate and customize Uptime dashboards. We're coming out with a huge performance improvement via the 64-bit architecture. We've got the dashboarding API with several examples, including that mobile operations view that are available out of the box. And then we've got the enhanced auto discovery. So I'd like to take a moment now to do a quick Q&A. We've got about 10 minutes left. And of course, I see one of the first questions that came out of the audience was, when is Uptime 7.1 going to be available? Right? And the answer is that 7.1 will be released next week. Right? So we're not far away now. So look forward to an email blast in your inbox early next week with information about where to access Uptime 7.1, as well as how to do all of the different upgrades. Now, some of the other questions here, right? Is it possible to upgrade from 6.4 to 7.1 direct? No, you'll need to go through 7.0 and then upgrade to 7.1. Another question. Solaris 11 compatible agent, that's something that we are working on. Right. We have another question here about API security. That's actually a great question that I didn't touch on. So being an open RESTful API, it is inherently available. If I wanted to, I could actually do direct API calls from my web browser. But it's important to understand that each and every call is actually protected in a few different ways. The first is that the traffic is encrypted via SSL communication. There is no plain text communication. And then each and every call is actually validated as an authenticated call, including your username and password. So you cannot make any calls into the Uptime API without being properly encrypted and authenticated. And the calls that are available and the information that is provided via the API is all user specific. So every user in Uptime automatically has access to the API, but they're only going to have access to the elements and service monitors and views that they would get via the standard Uptime web interface. We have another question about upgrading and maintaining of settings. Yes, you can absolutely maintain all of your settings from Uptime 7.0 or earlier as you upgrade to the new version. Right? The upgrade itself shouldn't take more than half an hour. It's a very straightforward process to go through the standard upgrade process. Just a few moments here, looking for other questions. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. We've got 7 or 8 minutes left here. All right. Somebody's asking about the first diagram I showed. We were talking about the different capabilities that Uptime brought and the different areas we could monitor, and particularly agent and agentless type monitoring. All right, we do support agentless monitoring via WMI or via publicly available APIs in different technology stacks. The Uptime agent itself is a very, very lightweight agent. So typically you'll find that it consumes about 20 megabytes of RAM and maybe 1% of CPU. And that's really only at the time that the agent is being pulled. Outside of that time, it takes up functionally zero resources on the target host. And the agent itself actually adds a tremendous amount of value and power when it comes to self-healing and automated recovery of outages in your environment. So if you want to trigger restarts of services or more complicated script-based recovery to automate the whole incident management process, that could be accomplished via the Uptime agent. Are Windows Server 2012 elements supported? They will be supported in the next service pack of Uptime. Question about the licensing model and cost. The licensing model for Uptime is based on a per basically guest OS or per IP basis. So we call it a per element licensing. So if you have 100 network switches, you're going to pay one license per network switch. Doesn't matter who the vendors are, who the manufacturers are, the models and the model numbers, the size of the switches. You're not going to pay per port. Once you've paid a license for that base element, you're going to gain access to everything Uptime has to offer. Right? The whole suite of Uptime functionality is just one product with no module fees. So you're going to pay one price and monitor everything that you could possibly want to on that target server. All right, a lot of questions pouring in now, so thank you very much. Give me a second to scroll through a lot of these. All right, I've seen a lot of questions about platform support and version supports across the agents and monitoring stations. More details on that will be available with the Uptime release. You know, with every Uptime service pack, we add new platforms, and our support platforms matrix will be available via the release notes published Uptime 7.1. Or if you'd like to see the current available platforms list, please log into uptimesoftware.com and simply search for platform support, and you'll find all the detail you need on the different platforms that are out there. Question about bandwidth of the monitoring provided by Uptime. The bandwidth is surprisingly lightweight, right? So Uptime uses a polling-based system whereby every X minutes we will poll the environment to pull back performance metrics. And it sounds like that could end up being a tremendous amount of data. And the reality is that you can monitor incredibly large environments with very, very little overhead. Right? The general figure that we like to use with the users is that per 1,000 servers monitored with Uptime, you're going to have about the equivalent bandwidth of watching a YouTube video. right? So if you can just think about that in the scope of the environment, that's very little overall bandwidth to monitor all of your systems when compared with other traffic that's going on in your network. Sorry, just give me a second. Is there a cost to upgrade? That's a great question. No, as long as you are covered under active support contract, there is no cost to upgrade from a previous version. Your support contract includes as many support cases as you like, as well as free upgrades to all the latest releases. So if you're covered, please do take advantage of that. Okay, a question about monitoring of executables on target servers. Yes, absolutely. Uptime does monitoring down to the process level on Windows, Linux, Solaris, AX, HPUX systems. So absolutely, you could monitor both the performance of individual processes from a CPU, memory point of view, but also the availability and status of those processes. So for example, if you want to make sure that there were only ever between 5 and 10 threads on a given process, you could alert on the number of processes going outside of that range. All right, a question from Sean about how all of the data from Uptime is stored. All right, all of that data from Uptime is stored in a localized data store, and that data store can be either the bundled MySQL server or Microsoft SQL Server or Oracle database. So whatever technology that you're most comfortable with within your data center, you're free to store the Uptime data warehouse in those different databases. And the benefit of that is that it's a non-proprietary format and a format that you can access using any existing database tools. If you want to do, for example, complicated reporting or business type analytics, you could do that directly against the Uptime data store. All right, I'd like to thank everybody for all of these questions. These have been fantastic questions, and I know I certainly did not get to all of them, so I will take some time after this session to follow up individually on any of those questions. Certainly, if you're interested in Uptime 7.1 or learning more about Uptime in general, please visit uptimesoftware.com or contact your account representative. We do have that free evaluation copy on the website that I invite you to try on your own. Thank you very much for joining today, and I hope you all have an excellent afternoon. Bye.